Hey, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the PivotBoss Pre-Market Report for Wednesday, July 19th, 2017. I'm Frank Ochoa, aka PivotBoss. Here's a look at the daily time frame of the ES. Failed new lows. Failed new lows worked out yesterday. The ES drove a little bit farther than you would normally expect, but still held those 48s, popped back above 54s, and made its way back toward the previous highs. Very similar to the NQ that had an outside day up there based off the failed lows. So very, very bullish still. As we mentioned before, we're still in the up move here, still searching for signs of rejection. But until then, the thing is still pushing higher. So the things you look for are to look to buy pullbacks, look for failed new lows, and eventually look for expansion to the upside at some point. So a push beyond 3-day highs could spark a rather steady continuation toward 2470 and 2475, and that could be right around the corner here. But a failure to hold 48s would be significant, but overall, coming into that zone would still offer support as well. So taking a look here at the NQ. Here's the NQ coming right into that 5907s, finally getting into 5900. A big time squeeze here as well. You can see right here, previous session's low price right there, failed new low, a trap, and then you see the big squeeze that comes the rest of the day, finishing very strong indeed. We got a push beyond the 5729 and are now right back toward the upper end of the range after coming very, very close to those 55.50 halves. So it's been playing off this range very, very nicely. And ever since we formed this range back here, I mentioned this could be the range that takes us throughout much of the summer here, where we trade based off these ranges. But expansion could be seen as well. So any push and acceptance beyond 59.07 half starts to look for expansion much higher. 60.80, basically that's the 50% expansion. 62.64 half up here is the 100% at some point down the road. But we'll see how price responds outside this range here. If the market starts to see rejection, then there could be a quick pullback to the center. There could be a pullback and continuation. So many different things can happen. But right now the trend is still up. So continue to do those things that bulls normally do, like failed new lows, protecting previous highs. Those types of situations right there can be very, very bullish here as we find where that rejection point may be. All right, on an intraday time frame here for the NQ, you'll notice quite a trend the previous session there. Leaving behind support right here at about 58.85. That's a nice LVN right there. So prices held mainly above that zone. A pullback into that area could provide a short-term buying opportunity back toward recent highs. So far 59.05 is the high, and we continue to hold within a nice trending market here. LVNs have been defended on the way up. So further overall strength until we see how price responds to these 59.07 halves. Let's take a look at crude. All right, so here's a look at crude. What you'll notice here is price continues to hold in this kind of coiling pattern right around composite VPOC, 45.66 here on this Tosh volume profile. But prices held all the key levels we've been watching, namely this bottom level right here, which is 43.76. That's been a very important level, first for our squeeze here, then for the defense here. 45s on a retest here last week was a very nice level for a continuation. But overall, what I mentioned is that composite VPOC right there suggests that we could see this thing just kind of get trapped in here for a little bit longer before we see the ultimate squeeze back toward 51s or perhaps even higher. So right now, still kind of sluggish in this zone here. If prices were to go through this composite VPOC, say 45.60s. We could be running several days worth of stops, and that could heat up for a return back to 43.76. Such a move likely to be defended for another return trip back up. So right now, just kind of holding at the upper end of the range here, very tightly coiled pattern, inside day. Expansion one way or another could be seen here pretty soon. And lastly, let's take a look at ZB. ZB here has a pretty good look on it in terms of a potential squeeze to come. It's already started some of the squeeze. Nice little rounded bottom here off these lows. You can see previous close here, previous low here, and price bidding through that area in the previous session, seeing a nice continuation. So right now, a defense back toward the previous lows here, 153.03s or so, 153.05. Any pullback into that zone could still be a swing buy as this thing pushes back toward the midpoint, 155.05, and perhaps gets a move back toward recent highs, 157.08. So this one here has a pretty good shot at starting and squeeze back up. Holding 155 is going to be very important for that. Failure to hold 155 will begin to break that pattern down. All right, that's it for now. Let's see how this thing plays out the rest of the session. Good luck and trade well.